Okay, so this is chapter 1, IM-1 grade repair test recovery. Today is day 1. You have a packet that looks like this. You should write your name on it here, first and last name. And then where it says teacher, could you write Mrs. Torkelson? Okay, I'm your grade repair teacher, so I'm the one that you will report to about making up your test and turning your packet in. But then, can you also write your regular teacher? So who is your regular math teacher? So that could be, it could be me. It could be Mr. New, Mr. Lopez, Miss Dew, Mrs. Robinson, Miss Rubio. So whoever your regular math teacher is, write them here. That way you have 2 teachers. Once you've done that, let's go ahead and turn the packet so we can go ahead and start. So we're first going to start with lesson 1.1. So today is day 1. And we're going to talk about quantities and expressions. So for the first 6, we'll be given some algebraic expressions, and we're going to turn them into verbal expressions. You want to think about the 4 operations when we're talking about today's lesson. So plus, minus, multiplication, and division. So we are going to turn these 6 from variables, letters, and symbols, numbers, into verbal expressions, so like words, more like sentences. So for letter A, we are going to say A, but A is representing a number. So we're going to say a number A, that's the first part. And then the second part is that I'm adding 3. So a number A, and then I'm going to say plus 3. For letter B, you want to be super careful because there is something happening between the 3 and the x. There's an imaginary dot here. Those 2 are being multiplied. So you cannot just write 3x. We are going to say something like 3 times a number x. That's the first part. The second part is then my minus 4. You could also say subtract 4, decreased by 4. So there are other ways to say this. This is just a way to say it. All right, let's talk about letter C. So for letter C, you have n divided by 4, but I'm not going to say n. I'm going to say a number n. So this is what I'm focused on first. So a number n. And then the second part is this part right here. And then I'm going to say divided by 4. So I have the first part, which is n, and then I have that, and I'm dividing it by 4. Okay, perfect. Now I have 3 more examples, and we're going to do those together. All right, so for letter A, I have 17. There's a dot there, imaginary, times p. So for the first part, I'm going to write 17 times. And then for the second part, it's 17 times a number p. All right, so for letter B, I have x. This symbol is less than or equal to. Remember, if you hold your hands up like this, sorry, let me zoom out. If you hold your hands up like this, the left hand is the less than. So just a way to remember it. So for the first part, I have a number x, and then I have the second part. And I have a number x is less than or equal to, let me zoom out a bit, and it's equal to 6. Okay, let's talk about the last one, letter C. Letter C is probably the most challenging because there's a lot going on here. All right, so I'm going to talk about all of the top first, and then I'll talk about all of the bottom. So on the top, I have a number t, and then I'm doing plus 2. Okay, that's just the top. And all of that is being divided by x, or some number x. So we have to be super careful. We can't just say divided by, we have to make sure we include this word all, because all of the top is being divided. So all divided by a number x. So C is probably as complicated as they get because you have multiple variables, so just be super careful with problems like that. Okay, perfect. In math, if you can go one way, you can go the other way. So now I'm going to be given the expressions, or the verbal expressions, and I have to change it into an algebraic expression. So now we're just doing the reverse. When doing these problems, I think it's helpful to write the numbers, the symbols, the variables, whatever they give you on top of this. So here it says 9, so I'm going to write the number 9. Less than is minus, and then I have y. Whenever you're doing subtraction, be super careful. Sometimes you do have to switch them. So when I write this, it's not going to be 9 minus y, this is y minus 9. So because it's 9 less than y, so it's 9 less than y. So just be careful when you're doing problems like this. All right, so look at letter B. I have 3, more than is plus, product is multiplication, 5, and some number x. Okay, so let me write my stuff out. So I have 3, more than is plus. The product means I'm multiplying two things together, and the two things that I'm multiplying together are this 5 and this x. So this becomes 5x. I could also write it like this, which is just the reverse if I wanted to, but both are the same thing. Remember, there's an imaginary dot here, and I'm multiplying those two things together. All right, go ahead and pause the video here. I want you to try letters A and B, so you can pause it. Once you have your answers, unpause the video, and I'm going to show you what the answers are for the two at the bottom. So you should have gotten x plus 2 and n divided by 2. So if you got those, awesome. If you didn't, hopefully you can understand why. And we're going to move on to the next page. All right, so we're going to talk about 1 and 2-step equations here. When you are doing 1 and 2-step equations, you always want to remove the addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division using the inverse operation. So inverse operations are like plus and minus. Those are inverses of each other. And I have multiplication and division. Those are inverses of each other. Okay, perfect. So for letter A, what I think is helpful is I think it's helpful to draw a line through your equal sign. Then you identify where your variable is. So my variable is my x. The opposite of minus 6 is plus 6. And whatever I do on one side, I have to do to the other side. These cancel each other out. Bring down your x, bring down your equal sign. 15 plus 6 is 21. Okay, perfect. Let's try letter B. I like to draw my line through my equal sign. Identify my variable, so v. The opposite of 4.2, right, it's positive, is negative 4.2. And I have to do it to both sides, so this is minus 4.2. These cancel. I bring down my letter v. I bring down my equal sign. 6.6 minus 4.2. 6.6 minus 4.2, 2.4. So then this is my answer. You could also switch the order if you feel more comfortable with that, but they're the same thing. So V equals 2.4 or 2.4 equals V. All right, let's talk about letter C. All right, here, you can still draw your line. Identify your variable. And so here on the left, I'm dividing, right? That's x divided by -4. The opposite of division is multiplication. What I'm going to do is to get rid of this fraction on the bottom, I'm going to multiply it by -4 because that's the number on the bottom, my denominator. I can only do this if I have one thing on each side. So you see how I have one fraction and one number? That's why I can do this. So I'm going to multiply both sides by the denominator, which is -4. These -4's cancel. I'm left with x equals, and then 2 times -4, which is -8. All right, I'm going to have you try letters A, B, and C. So go ahead and pause the video right here. Then, once you're done, you're going to unpause so I can show you the answers and the work, okay? So I'm going to show you the answers and the work. All right, for A, we should have gotten 82. For B, we should have gotten 7.5. And for C, we should have gotten 35. Make sure that you show all of your steps and all of your work because your teachers are going to be checking for that. If you got all three, awesome. If you didn't, hopefully you can understand where your mistakes are. All right, let's look at the 3 problems at the bottom. All right, now we're solving 2-step equations. Same process. However, we want to first remove the addition or subtraction and then do the multiplication or division. So first is plus or minus. Second is multiplication or division. Same process though. So I like to draw my line through my equal sign. I like to identify my variable. So for me, that's the x. The opposite of +2 is -2. I have to do that on both sides. These 2's cancel. Everything that I'm left with, I bring down my equal sign. 14 minus 2 is 12. And then here I just have to take that last step of doing multiplication or division. If the numbers are side by side like this, remember there's an imaginary dot. So the opposite of multiplication is division. These cancel. Bring down my x. Bring down my equal sign. 12 divided by -3 is -4. All right, perfect. Let's try letter B. All right, for letter B, I'm going to draw my line through my equal sign. I'm going to identify my variable. The opposite of -12 is +12. These 12's cancel each other out. I'm left with 5x, my equal sign, and then 48 plus 12, 60. Okay, the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to divide by 5. So I'm going to bring down my x. 60 divided by 5 is 12. All right, and then letter C. So draw your line through your equal sign. Identify your variable. If you have a fraction, so you see I have a fraction on the left, and you have one fraction and one number, like we have here, you can multiply by the number on the bottom to get rid of the fraction. My number on the bottom is 5, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 5. The 5's cancel. I'm left with this -2x, my equal sign, and then 10 times 5, which is 50. My last step is to divide by -2. and I get x equals, and then 50 divided by negative 2 is negative 25. All right, once you have that, you can go ahead and turn to the next page. All right, so these three at the top, I would like you to chart by yourself. So you can go ahead and pause the video right here. I am going to show you the correct answers with the correct work. So pause here. When you're ready, you can unpause or just keep this video playing if you feel like you need help. And then these are the answers for the top three with all of the work. So for letter A, we should have gotten x equals 4. For letter B, x equals 12. And for letter C, x equals 8. So make sure you're showing all the steps, all the work, your answer, and it's very clear about how you go from start to finish. All right, now we're going to move on to multi-step equations. So let's talk about these 6 at the bottom. All right, when you're doing multi-step equations, you need to be careful and make sure that you combine like terms on the same side first. Then you remove addition or subtraction, and then last you do multiplication or division. These problems get tricky fast, so just make sure you stay organized. So let's look at the first one. So I like to draw my line through my equal sign. And then I'm going to look at the left side. The left side I have 24. And on the right side I have 5x minus 2x plus 3. I'm going to see if I have any like terms. Like terms are things that are the same, like they both have x's or they're both just regular numbers. Both of these things have x's, so I can put those together. So here I have 24 equals 5x minus 2x is 3x. And then I still have this plus 3. Now this equation looks like the other equations that we did on the previous page. So then I can just solve from here. I can subtract 3. This is 21 equals, bring down your 3x, and then I'm going to divide by 3. 21 divided by 3, I get 7. So x equals 7. You could also write 7 equals x. Both are totally fine. All right, let's look at letter B. I'm going to draw a line through the equal sign. I'm going to look at the left. Is there anything that I can combine here? And there is. This 2x and this negative 4x I can combine. 2x, and then you're always doing the operation in front of the second term. So I have 2x minus 4x is negative 2x. I still have this plus 7, this positive 7, equals 13. I'm going to subtract the 7 from both sides, right? That's the opposite. I'm left with negative 2x equals 13 minus 7 is 6. Divide by negative 2. X equals negative 3. All right, I'm going to move on to letter C. So I'm going to draw my line through my equal sign. On the left, there's nothing that I can combine, like I cannot put those two things together. But on the right, I do have this 9 plus 2, or this positive 9 minus 2. Sorry. So I have positive 9 minus 2, and I want to always do the operation of the second thing. So the left will stay the same. The right, I still have that negative 3x, and positive 9 minus 2 is positive 7. Okay, I always think it's a good idea to move the x's first, and so I'm going to move the negative 3x. The opposite of that is positive 3x. So I'm going to do that on both sides. These cancel. I'm left with negative 8. 2x plus 3x is 5x equals, And I'm still left with this 7. Okay, the opposite of negative 8 is positive 8. I'm left with 5x equals 7 plus 8 is 15. My last step is to divide by 5. So then x equals 3. All right, the 3 at the bottom, they do say try it, but I do want to do them with you because we do have some special cases. So let's go ahead and jump to A. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to draw a line through my equal sign. On the left, is there anything that I can combine? No. On the right, there is. I can do 3 minus 2. It's minus because of the negative in front of the 2. The left will stay the same. The right, 3 minus 2 is positive 1. And then I still have that negative 2x. I always like to move my x's first. So that negative 2x, I'm going to move to the other side. So plus. These cancel. 4x plus 2x is 6x. Minus 11 equals 1. I could add 11 to both sides. These cancel. 6x equals 12. Divide by 6. X equals 2. Okay, for letter B, I like to draw my line through my equal sign. On the left, I can combine the 6y and this negative y. Remember, it's the operation in front of the second thing. On the right, nothing. So on the left, 6y minus y, there's a 1 here. So 6 minus 1 is 5. I got the 5y. Minus this 5, right? This 5 goes here. Bring down my equal sign. The right side will stay the same. Okay, I'm going to move my y's. So I'm going to move this one right here on the right. So I'm going to do minus 5y, minus 5y. These cancel. These also cancel. So what I'm left with, so I get negative 5 equals 2. And then I got to ask myself, does negative 5 equal 2? You see how I have no more variables left, no y's, no letters? This statement is not true. So because that statement is not true and there's no more variables, right, no more letters, this is no solution. All of this is my answer. I need to include this line and I need to include the words no solution. So all of this is my answer. Okay, the X and the sad face are just things I like to do, but all of this is your answer. Okay, let's try letter C. Okay, draw your line through your equal sign. On the left, I can combine 4m minus 3m. 4 minus 3 is 1m, or I could just write m. And I still have that minus 2. My equal sign, and then on the right, I have m minus 2. I'm going to move this m, so I'm going to subtract it. These m's cancel. These m's also cancel. Let's see what we're left with. We're left with negative 2 equals, and then I also have this negative 2. You see how this statement is true? Negative 2 equals negative 2. This is good. This is a true statement. This makes us happy. When this happens where both sides equal each other and there's no more variables, no more letters, this is many solutions. So essentially, these are opposite situations. For either one, all of this is your work. For this one, all of this is your work, right? So we don't want to skip any steps. We want to make sure we include everything. Okay, perfect. That concludes day one, and then you can watch the next video tomorrow.